here to get the Instagram thing going, and this drives me nuts, this beginning phase. Not very polished when you have to wait for a platform to cooperate. Eventually here, usually, there we go. Usually it's within like 10 seconds, but it's the longest 10 seconds ever, I will tell you. So, good morning. Welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you are here. Give us all things to think about and talk about. And I just kind of jump all over the place in terms of what it is we're going to be talking about, depending on what moves me on a particular day. Good morning, Barb. Glad you are here. Welcome. And the funny thing about what I'm going to share today is it wasn't what was in line to be shared, but I had an interesting experience yesterday where I kind of laughed the whole way up there. I'd been invited to Green Bay to be on a podcast for Bell and Health, and the person who was interviewing me is a friend of mine, Linda Gollick, and I asked her, why did you pick me for this topic? It was on spirituality and well-being. And she said, because you have a really broad understanding and definition of spirituality compared to most of the other people I could have asked. I thought, well, that's interesting. So that's kind of the same with this. What I'm going to read today is about AI. And everybody has their opinions, and some of the juries are kind of out. My view is we let it out of the corral way before we had the fencing in place to have us running it rather than it running us. But remains to be seen, we shall see. But let's start with the tapping and the breath to ground ourselves solidly into Mother Earth. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling the roots going down into Mother Earth, grounding us strongly. Breathe in. Breathe out. Let your shoulders drop. My back did well yesterday. I was so happy. Today it's a little tweaky, but that's okay. We'll work on it. I've got yoga this morning. I'm going to see how much I can do. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now spinning open your crown chakra and drawing down healing golden light. Breathe it in. Push it through your whole body. Then breathe up the Mother Earth energy and out through the crown of your head. Just going back and forth. Breathe it down and out through your feet. And breathe it up and out through your crown. And you can just keep that breath going for as long as you like. And periodically during the day, I would highly recommend doing more of that breath, bringing in healing energy. Good morning to the two of you who are here whose names aren't rolling. You were on Instagram for a hot moment. And did it work? I always wonder. Yeah, new platforms for me. Actually, my tech person had it set up that it just dumped automatically into Instagram, but now it's actually live. So hopefully that's a little more interesting to people. We shall see. We shall see. Got the Instagram notification before YouTube. Oh, that's interesting. Good morning, Nancy. Glad you are here. Welcome. Well, I don't know if that made sense or not. Anywho, whatever it is, it is. I'm glad you're here, Jonil, because I want to get your feedback on this one. I'm using part of Chip Conley's Wisdom Well blog post from yesterday, I believe. Yes, yesterday. And it's called From Saber to Conocer, What AI Knows, Yet Humans Live. And I liked his take on this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read part of it. And I want you to just kind of listen and see, how does this fit in? I think for people of a certain age, this will be a useful understanding of AI and humanity, right? So, breath in, breath out. A few years ago, I learned something fascinating about language that now feels strangely relevant in the age of AI. In both Spanish language and French language, there are two different verbs for to know. In Spanish, it's saber versus connaître. In French, it's savoir versus connaître. You can tell I don't do language, but you get the gist. One means knowing facts. The other means knowing through experience. You saber, the Santa Fe sits at 7,000 feet. You connaître Santa Fe because you've cried in the high desert after a transformational workshop and bought an overpriced turquoise bracelet you absolutely did not need. One is informational, one is relational. And suddenly I realized this may be the perfect distinction between what AI knows and what humans know. AI is astonishing at saber. It can synthesize millions of articles in seconds. And I know that because I just used it to figure out how to pronounce those words. It was very helpful. It knows the population of Botswana, the plot of obscure Icelandic films, and probably the average lifespan of Peruvian alpacas. Always useful information there. It can summarize research studies faster than most academics can locate their reading glasses. But AI does not connaître. It does not know the heartbreak because it sat in a parked car for an hour after hearing devastating news. It doesn't know awe because it watched the sun rise over the Baja coast while realizing life is both fleeting and unbearably beautiful. It doesn't know grief because it slept in its dead mother's bed 2 nights after she passed away. Humans know in the body. Embodied, right? We know through scar tissue, through embarrassment, through joy, through repetition, through failure, through being humbled by life over and over again until wisdom slowly seeps in through the cracks of our certainty. I love that line. I love that line. I'm going to read it again. Through being humbled by life over and over again until wisdom slowly seeps in through the cracks of our certainty. In other words, AI can scan the menu. Humans have tasted the meal. And honestly, midlife is often the transition from saber to connaître. In the first half of life, many of us are rewarded for accumulating knowledge, degrees, expertise, titles, achievement. We become walking LinkedIn profiles with lower back pain. I missed that when I read it before. That's funny. But somewhere around midlife, often after a divorce, a diagnosis, a death, or a profound disappointment, we start asking different questions. Not, what do I know? But what have I lived? That's a very different inquiry. I've noticed this in my own life lately as I deal with cancer while simultaneously helping lead Modern Elder Academy. Cancer has no interest in my resume. Mortality is the great editor of abstraction. You stop caring quite so much about appearing intelligent and start caring more about being real. More present, more loving, more awake to the preciousness of ordinary moments. And here's the irony. At precisely the moment AI is becoming superhuman at informational knowing, many humans are becoming increasingly disconnected from experiential knowing. We scroll past sunsets while reading productivity hacks. We optimize our sleep while losing touch with our dreams. We know the neuroscience of awe, but haven't actually stood beneath enough stars lately. We are overdeveloped in saber and undernourished in connaître, which may explain why so many people secretly feel exhausted despite being endlessly informed. We're not truly feeding the soul. We're feeding the brain, but we're not feeding the soul. As the philosopher Michael Polanyi famously said, we know more than we can tell. That's the territory of lived experience, of intuition, of embodied wisdom. It's also why elders matter. Not because they know more trivia than ChatGPT. Trust me, AI wins that contest every time. but because people who have lived deeply carry a different kind of knowing. The knowing that comes from burying parents, raising children, surviving failures, forgiving betrayals, rebuilding after loss, falling in love again, and discovering that life remains mysteriously beautiful despite all evidence to the contrary. AI may someday outperform humans intellectually in many domains, but it will never know what warm bread tastes like after getting lost on the way to dinner with someone you love. It will never know the back roads of Baja, nor will it know the dust in its hair and the lilt in its heart after a four-wheeling adventure. We just need to develop a better language for what humans know. And that's why the humanities will be making a comeback in the next few years. I love that. That's connoisseur. And honestly, that's the good stuff. Chip. I just thought that was spot on and very helpful in terms of understanding what's happening right now. This is a swing of the pendulum. What do pendulums do? They swing back. They swing back. Kind of like the weather. If you don't like it right now, wait 10 minutes. This is probably going to be longer than a 10-minute wait, but it will, the things that speak to our heart and soul will make a resurgence, a surface resurgence. They're already there for us to tap if we're wise enough to tap them. AI is a tool, but not without the humanity. And it's a tool to serve us, not us serving the tool. And I will tell you, the number of children walking past here to go to the middle school who are lost in a screen, including walking out into traffic. I don't care if the damn stripes are on the ground. The people driving aren't paying any better attention than you are. This is your hide you're talking about. Have a little more self-preservation here, children. And I love seeing the kids walking past, talking to each other, or horsing around, or just playing, bouncing a ball, kicking a hacky sack, whatever. There's still kids out there who do that stuff. Yay! My kids were the kids who did that stuff because I was a screen Nazi. No screens at the table, no screens till homework's done, no screens after 9 p.m. Da 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 da. I mean, that's 30 plus years ago, but nonetheless, boundaries, 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 boundaries. I would not allow screens to raise my children. And they both turned out to be very thought provoking human beings. They're deep folks. They're deep folks. So, in our English language, I'd love to hear what you guys can come up with here. What would be the word? What are the words that we have for knowing facts? And what are the words that we have that are knowing through experience? Kind of interesting to think about that. Hopefully this gives you something to chew on. If you want to look it up, you can find it at Wisdom Well. It's modernelderacademy.com, and Wisdom Well is the blog post part of it. So I just thought that was wonderful. Hopefully it piqued some interest and further conversation on your behalf. I think that would be lovely. Have an awesome day. I will see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are, including having experiences. Bye-bye.